On this Friday night, the world of sports and politics collide. The Prime Minister and the American President's meeting after the World Cup draw, and which countries Canada will face when it hosts the summer soccer tournament. Mega merger. Netflix is buying Warner Brothers.
This is only the third largest such deal in the history of the entertainment industry.
What it means for viewers and why Canadian entertainment producers are worried. Vaccine U-turn. The new recommendations from U.S. health officials on vaccinating babies against hepatitis B.
It does not make sense.
The reaction from frontline physicians. Plus, popular premiers. A new poll reveals Canada's most and least favorite provincial leaders.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Okay, let's see which team will be drawn by Mr. Mark Carney. Canada! Oh, congratulations!
The Prime Minister taking part in the FIFA World Cup draw in Washington as the pools for the competition were largely decided, revealing which countries Canada will face at next summer's soccer tournament. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Canada, the U.S. and Mexico are co-hosting the World Cup, and for many Canadians, the focus on today's FIFA ceremony was split between our national soccer team and the political action on the sidelines. Prime Minister Mark Carney and U.S. President Donald Trump held their first private meeting since Trump ended trade talks back in October, and the president appeared to be in good spirits. We'll have more on what the event revealed about Team Canada's chances in just a moment, but we begin with Mackenzie Gray and the politics at play.
It was an event designed to flatter one man.
You can always count, Mr. President, on my support, on the support of the entire football community or soccer community.
Donald Trump winning the newly created FIFA Peace Prize.
There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
Right now.
Okay.
Not the Peace Prize Trump has lobbied for, but the president made no bones about it. He loved the gift.
Well, thank you very much. This is truly one of the great honors of my life.
The Prime Minister seemingly in on the compliments, spending much of the World Cup draw talking with Trump and the Mexican president.
There's more than 200 nationalities in Canada, more than 200 nationalities in FIFA. The top 48 are coming to North America. It is going to be the biggest deal ever.
But dancing along to one of Trump's favorite songs was a bridge too far. Mark Carney instead having a laugh, but they did all eventually get down to serious business. Carney, Trump, and Claudia Sheinbaum meeting for roughly 45 minutes with no staff. The Prime Minister's office giving little detail on if anything came out of the meeting, but Trump had been unusually complimentary.
We've had a tremendous relationship, working relationship with Canada. The coordination and friendship and relationship has been outstanding.
The three amigos also got in on the show, picking out their own countries before the real draw started, which was a mixed bag for Canada, who will end up playing Qatar, Switzerland, and the winner of a European playoff, which could end up being Italy.
Bring it, whoever it is. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Like, honestly, it's a World Cup.
Carney seeing Trump on a day when praise was laid on so thick might be a good strategy to try and get trade talks restarted, Jeff. But it's not clear if Trump's great mood will actually benefit Canada.
All right, Mackenzie Gray in Washington. Thanks, Mac. By leading Group B at the World Cup, Canada may have avoided some of the top teams, but our path into the knockout rounds won't be easy, with Switzerland and potentially another powerhouse European club standing in our way. Eric Sorensen looks at the matchups and what Canadian footy fans are feeling about hosting the world's most popular sporting event.
6 months before a single ball will be kicked, soccer fans from Vancouver to Toronto and around the world were transfixed by the World Cup draw.
Today is going to see for real where and when and who is going to match.
The draw is where the tournament finally starts to feel real. You know, you can picture yourself playing the opposition, your preparation becomes very specific.
In Toronto, almost every nation has its supporters.
We'll see what teams end up playing in Toronto. I think that's massively important, especially all the different cultures around the city.
Some are excited by the draw, some have reason to worry, including Canadians. As hosts, Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. were seeded first, and then across the 12 groups, they avoid the other top seeds, the highest-ranked teams of all, like Brazil and Germany, Spain, France, Argentina, and England. All of the other teams were then drawn. Canada got Switzerland, Qatar, and a wild card. As the 27th-ranked team, Canada will play Switzerland, number 17, then Qatar, 51st. So far, so good. But the fourth will be the winner of that wild card group, Euro A, that includes Italy, the 12th ranked team, a dangerous prospect for Canada and one which made Italian fans pretty happy.
As much as I am Italian, I am Canadian, and to see both of my heritages going up against each other, possibly in the first game here in Toronto, is a moment that I'm going to be cherishing for the rest of my life.
Canada is not a soccer power, but should have its best team ever, led by superstar Alphonso Davies and top scorer Jonathan David. Fans feel pretty good about Canada advancing to the knockout round.
It's a good draw. I think it's going to be a competitive tournament, but we have a really good team, and I think we're gonna make it happen.
With Switzerland, I think they could pull off the result, so I think there's a good opportunity for them to come through that group for sure.
So Canada will play its first game in Toronto on June the 12th against the Euro A winner. So it could be Canada, Italy in Toronto. Imagine that. Canada will then play Qatar in Vancouver June 18th, and then Switzerland also in Vancouver. But up to 12 countries in all will play in this country. You can imagine flights and hotels are probably already getting booked. Jeff?
Eric Sorensen in Toronto. Thanks, Eric. And turning to another international sporting spectacle, the start of the Olympics is just 2 months away, but NHL officials are voicing concerns over the venue that will host the hockey tournament. Crews are still working on the Santa Giulia Arena, located on the outskirts of Milan. Construction is expected to go down to the wire. A test event has now been moved back to the second week of January, and there is apparently no backup arena available. The size of the ice surface is also a concern. It's about a meter shorter than the dimensions required by the NHL. The puck drops for the first game on February 11th, and organizers insist the arena will be ready on time. A colossal shakeup in the world of entertainment today. Netflix is buying Warner Brothers for $100 billion Canadian. It gives the streaming giant the rights to HBO Max and a vast catalog of content, including Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and Friends. Some are warning that the merger puts too much content into the hands of a single media company. As Ann Gaviola reports, if the deal goes through, consumers can expect to pay more for their subscription.
There was an uproar when fans of Friends found out their millennial dramedy was set to disappear from Netflix at the end of this month. It belongs to Warner Brothers, but with Netflix's $72 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers' legacy assets, from Harry Potter to Bugs Bunny.
What's up, Doc?
Well, Friends isn't going anywhere.
This is only the third largest such deal in the history of the entertainment industry. However, it is arguably the most influential.
This deal sets Netflix up to be the king of content, old and new. Netflix's co-CEO says, "Our mission has always been to entertain the world. Together, we can give audiences more of what they love and help define the next century of storytelling."
In Canada, this would certainly attract attention from the federal regulators.
Under normal circumstances, a deal this massive invites regulatory scrutiny, raises antitrust concerns, but analysts say this administration isn't likely to stand in the way.
The Trump administration doesn't seem to be putting forth any pushback towards consolidation within the media industry.
Though that green light may come with strings attached.
The quiet part out loud in deals like this is an administration that does not like having stories told about it that it does not approve.
Shares of Netflix sold off on the news while shares of Warner Brothers jumped. Investors aren't sure this will pay off for the streaming giant, but consumers will be rewarded with more content at a cost.
I suspect the initial reaction will be to increase subscription prices.
But the diversity of content in the future may suffer.
Canadian content producers, Canada's cultural industry, will have a more difficult time breaking into this increasingly consolidated American market. Smaller scale directors are probably huddling in dark rooms having those conversations now about how they survive in this scary new world.
This acquisition is expected to close in 12 to 18 months. Analysts expect more mega deals in the U.S. media industry. Comcast and Paramount were also bidding on Warner's legacy assets.
Paramount was one of those two interested buyers that got rebuffed. They're going to lick their wounds and they're going to come back and they're going to look for something else.
Ann Gaviola, Global News, Toronto.
Canada's job market is showing surprising strength. New data from Statistics Canada reveals a sharp drop in unemployment, with 54,000 new jobs added in November. It's the second straight month that unemployment has dropped, but economists warn the devil is in the details. Jillian Piper explains what it means for the economy and interest rates.
We've seen a drop in the unemployment rate in this country.
The Liberals celebrating new data from Statistics Canada that shows for the third straight month the number of Canadian jobs is increasing, with 54,000 additions in November.
Unemployment is down. Youth unemployment has dropped by almost 2 points in 2 months. That is no accident. That is a plan that is working.
The national unemployment rate fell from 6.9% in October to 6.5% in November, something that BMO chief economist Doug Porter says has not happened since the 90s.
It's incredibly rare to see the economy show an unemployment rate dropping by more than 0.5 point within 2 months. That almost never happens.
That boost might be thanks in part to the Liberals slashing temporary and permanent immigration levels, which the government has pledged to reduce even further over the next 3 years.
We have seen a big slowdown in the population. I think that's taking a lot of pressure off of the job market.
Most of the employment growth came from part-time work, which has outpaced full-time gains for the past 3 months, helping to provide some relief for Canadian youth, whose employment rate reached record lows in July.
We saw a noticeable drop in the youth unemployment rate, but that was also associated with most of these jobs being part-time.
But opposition parties are concerned that a rise in part-time jobs will not be enough for Canadians to make ends meet.
Right now, we're seeing a lot of precarious and part-time employment instead of the full-time, good-paying jobs that people need and deserve.
A decline in full-time employment means there's less people that are able to put food on the table for their families.
And it does not seem likely that Canadians will see widespread relief on the cost of living anytime soon, Jeff. The November job numbers mark the last major data release before the Bank of Canada makes its final interest rate decision of the year on Wednesday, where economists are largely expecting the central bank to hold the current rate of 2.25%.
Jillian Piper in Ottawa. Thanks, Jillian. A new opinion poll reveals this country's most popular and unpopular premiers, and Manitoba's Wab Kinew is coming out on top. The quarterly Angus Reid ranking shows Kinew leading with 58% approval, edging out New Brunswick's Susan Holt by 2 points. In the middle of the pack, Nova Scotia's Tim Houston at 50%, Alberta's Danielle Smith at 44%, and BC's David Eby at 40%. Ontario's Doug Ford saw the biggest approval rating drop, down 7 points to 34%, while Quebec's Francois Legault posted the lowest score at 25%. Canadian-American architect Frank Gehry has died. Gehry rose to international fame for rewriting what was possible in architecture through his innovative use of materials and building techniques. Arguably his most famous building, the curving, titanium-clad Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain, which is credited with revitalizing that city. Gehry also designed the Art Gallery of Ontario's current home and more than 150 other projects all over the world. Gehry was born in Toronto but moved to the U.S. in his teens. He was 96. The EU fines X coming up, while European regulators say the social media giant is breaking the rules. The Law Society of Ontario has suspended the license of the Toronto area lawyer with alleged ties to Ryan Wedding, the Canadian and former Olympian who's accused of running a massive drug trafficking network. Deepak Paradkar was one of 7 Canadians arrested last month. He's now awaiting extradition to the U.S., accused of providing court materials and allegedly advising Wedding to kill a key witness who was then fatally shot in Colombia in January. Wedding is on the FBI's top 10 most wanted fugitives list and is believed to be living in Mexico. The European Union has fined Elon Musk's social media platform X 120 million euros. It marks the first major penalty under the EU's new Digital Services Act. European regulators say the social media giant misled users by allowing anyone to pay for those blue verified checkmarks, which led to a flood of fake accounts and misinformation. The EU says X also failed to provide ad transparency. The Trump administration calls the ruling an attack on American tech companies and free speech. American health officials have voted to scrap a long-standing recommendation to vaccinate babies against hepatitis B. The decision was made by a CDC panel of vaccine advisors who were chosen by U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. They are now recommending the birth dose only for babies whose mothers test positive for the liver infection. Otherwise, it will be up to the parents and their doctor to decide if the vaccine is appropriate. Critics warn the new guidelines upend a decades-old program that had been a public health success story.
When we stop doing a good job with universal vaccination, we will start to see new infections, and that will be a legacy of new infections that start to really infiltrate the population.
Since the U.S. began vaccinating newborns in 1991, cases of Hep B in infants and children had dropped by 99%. Students stolen. Still ahead, families of school children kidnapped in Nigeria are demanding answers. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi have agreed to deepen cooperation between their two countries, with Putin pledging uninterrupted oil supplies to India. The agreement was announced during Putin's visit to New Delhi, his first since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The deal was part of a larger economic cooperation package that will boost trade and strengthen defense cooperation. And it comes despite U.S. pressure on India, which has been hit by American tariffs over its purchases of discounted Russian crude. Well, it's now been 2 weeks since gunmen kidnapped more than 300 students and staff from a Catholic school in northern Nigeria, and most of those children remain missing. The attack has forced the closure of more than 20,000 schools across 7 states over fears of further abductions. As Redmond Shannon reports, the children's families are now speaking out.
Anthony and his wife can think of little else but their 2 kidnapped children, aged 9 and 18.
I miss them.
I cannot sleep, I cannot eat, he says. Their boy and girl among the around 250 children still missing after being kidnapped from a Catholic school in Niger State 2 weeks ago. Thousands of schools across much of the country remain shut over fears of further abductions. Alongside those fears is a rising anger at authorities.
Now the school is even closed. All of our children are sitting at home. They are just roaming about. And the government did not do anything about it.
No one has claimed responsibility or demanded a ransom, but it is believed the abduction is for money rather than any Islamist ideology, as was the case in the 2014 Chibok kidnapping. 82 of those schoolgirls are still missing, and hundreds more Nigerian children have been kidnapped since.
Defeat terrorism.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has now declared a state of emergency and has ordered a mass recruitment to security forces.
It's a move in the right direction. It's long overdue. It's something that previous administrations have been ought to have done. But as you can tell, President Tinubu, to a large extent, has demonstrated the political will.
Militant groups have also killed tens of thousands of people in recent years. Nigerian security analyst Folahanmi Aina says the violence and kidnapping affects Muslims and Christians alike.
They inflict their reign on terror on everyone, irrespective of their religious affiliations.
They shouldn't lose hope.
A prominent local bishop says security officials told him the recently kidnapped children are well and will be freed. But for now, all families can do is pray. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
Mueller versus Messi. Up next, the Vancouver Whitecaps prepare to battle it out with Inter Miami for the MLS Cup. Welcome back. It's not just the World Cup draw that has Canadian soccer fans excited. The Vancouver Whitecaps will be taking on Lionel Messi's Inter Miami on Saturday, battling for their first ever MLS Cup. Jay Janower reports from Miami.
It's been a long time coming for Canadian soccer fans. Toronto FC, the first and only Canadian team to win the MLS Cup. That was back in 2019. Nobody has come close to winning it all again until now. The Vancouver Whitecaps taking on Inter Miami FC tomorrow and look to make history with Lionel Messi for Inter Miami going head-to-head against Thomas Mueller of the Vancouver Whitecaps a clash of global superstars.
It's arguably the greatest MLS Cup championship matchup in the 30-year history of Major League Soccer. And how can't it be? Inter Miami led by global superstar Lionel Messi, Vancouver Whitecaps by German superstar Thomas Müller.
The two teams with a very attractive and good-looking playing style. So yeah, perfect final in my opinion. Yeah, I appreciate to be part of it, and yeah, this cup is why we are here.
Müller has 35 major championships on his trophy mantle. Messi, one of just 6 men to play in 5 World Cups. Both superstars leading their respective clubs to their first ever MLS Cup final. One of them set to make MLS history, having lifted both FIFA's World Cup and, come Saturday, the MLS Cup.
We know that we're up against a player who is considered by many, and rightfully so, the best who ever played this game, and we know that that you always have to expect the unexpected when you play up against a player like Lionel Messi.
2,000 Whitecaps supporters have made the trek to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and will be in the stands to watch the Vancouver Whitecaps hopefully make history tomorrow. Back in Vancouver, expecting upwards of 20,000 fans at BC Place for a viewer watch party. In Fort Lauderdale, covering the Vancouver Whitecaps at the MLS Cup, Jay Janwer, Global News.
And that is Global National for this Friday night. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight's Your Canada, these stunning images of the moon. Yesterday was the last supermoon of the year. A supermoon is a full moon that happens when it's closest to the Earth, also called the cold moon because it comes just before the winter solstice. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you back here again tomorrow. Have a great night.